As technology progresses, it's creatives with the least amount of classic podcasting skills who are leading the way, eclipsing the accomplishments of those of us who can hand code RSS feeds. Hello and welcome to another Podcast Pontifications with me, Evo Terra. Back in the day, podcasters needed to be the proverbial jack of all trades. We needed to have more than a rudimentary knowledge of things like file formats, XML, audio editing software, the vagaries of distribution points, complex recording equipment setup. Oh, right, and we also needed to be able to tell a compelling story so that our listeners would, keep listening. Now, since that time, there has been a division that has arisen between those of us OG podcasters who know all of those things and a new crop of podcasters who use tools we didn't have access to many, many moons ago. They're doing it with these tools that really allow them to make a podcast without, as we and I have said, without really being a podcaster. Now, I think that's an unfair comparison. That's what we're going to talk about today. You see, politics gave us a couple of cool terms that I learned during this election cycle. And those are the terms RINO and DINO, or DINO. RINOs, Republican in name only, or DINOs, or Dinos, Democrats in name only. These are pejorative terms that other people in said party, by the way, independent voter over here, pejorative terms that people inside the party refer to others inside the party or who claim affiliation with that party who don't go far enough. The people who brand others as RINOs or DINOs or DINOs. The people who do the branding are the keepers of the faith. They see themselves as the true adherents of the way that particular party should be, and if you don't do everything, or at least most things the way they want, you get this brand of being whatever it is in name only. I think that's rubbish. I think it ignores the fact that change is constantly happening. Not just in political parties, but also in podcasting. Even though I've said it many a times, the reality is I have built my podcast business on PINOs, podcasters in name only. My clients are almost all of them, what I would consider a PINO. And I don't see that as a pejorative any longer. That's not a negative thing. Even though, well, I'll say it, I have had negative things to say about, not my clients, clearly love my clients, but other people that I meet who aren't doing podcasting enough. But as I come to realize this, like many things, I've realized that PINOs don't deserve our ire. They deserve our respect because I really honestly think that they are the future. Let me make a really bold statement. I think in the next 5 years, we're going to see more advancements than we've seen in the last 16 years since podcasting has existed. And almost all of those amazing technological advancements will benefit PINOs, not, let's call us full stack podcasters, for lack of a better term. You see, I don't think we, OG full stack podcasters, are going to be able to keep up with what the PINOs, the podcasters in name only, are really doing. Because PINOs aren't limited by all the technological know-how that we think that they need to get started. They're able to do new things in podcasting that we're not even thinking about because our brains are clogged with all the knowledge which was important in 2004, but hasn't been in a very long time. This reality is one of the reasons why I stepped back from writing Podcasting for Dummies after I got halfway through the second edition. It wasn't for me any longer. There were so many different aspects of podcasting coming that me trying to tell people how to do something was already outdated as soon as I said it. And it just didn't really speak to me to keep going down that road, largely because you didn't need to know. The new wave of podcasters didn't need to know all the stuff that we knew back in the early mid-aughts, right? But I think that we full stack podcasters can really learn a few things from these PINOs. Rather than disparaging them, I think we should learn from them. And I've got 4 basic things I think we can learn. Number 1, I think PINOs let me change the way I say that. We full stack podcasters can learn better storytelling from PINOs. Because again, our brains are but plugged up with all the technical aspects. When we think about something, we want to tell a story, we, full stack podcasters over here, tend to think about how we're going to get that done. Start breaking it up into slices and thinking about the DAWs we're going to use and what plugins are going to be required and how's this going to go out. PINOs aren't saddled with any of that stuff. When they're doing storytelling, they can focus on the story. They're not worried about waveforms. They're worried about the words and how the words connect back and forth and how the overall story can be told without needing the technical expertise of audio editing. I think PINOs, there we go. I think PINOs might be better even at soundscaping and scoring while we're at it. Those that do have a bent towards audio editing, who aren't afraid of using DAWs like we use, Hindenburg or Pro Tools, something like that. Look, if they're audio people, more than spoken word people, more than podcasting people, audio people with a good ear for sound, they might be able to do much better soundscaping and scoring and adding music to things than we can as podcasters who know everything about everything, because we know just a little bit, not a lot, a little bit about making how music and how other elements interact. With PINOs, they don't have that burden. They can actually do more. I think we can learn resilience from PINOs because, again, they're not held back by changes to existing platforms. They just simply move and adapt and adjust to the new things. So if something really catastrophic starts happening that would interrupt us in the full stack podcasters who have all this built up knowledge and these processes and tools that we're kind of rigid in how we go through things, if those things go away for whatever reason, doesn't care for PINOs. They'll just switch to another tool. Easier for them. And I think, finally, we can learn creativity from PINOs. Again, goes back to the same thing. Our brains as full stack podcasters tend to, not always, we have to fight against this, tend to be on very logical, linear thinking. People that don't have to have those things shoved inside of their head about, again, audio editing and file formatting and this distribution with XML and RSS feeds, yada, yada, yada. They just focus on the creativity. They just make amazing content. That's it. That's the idea. New things they can actually do that we simply aren't thinking about. So, do what I'm going to do from now on. Once we start getting back to meeting people once again, when you encounter a PINO, as I have, helping run the Phoenix Podcast Club, rather than try and get these people who are just dabbling to learn everything we know about full stack podcasting, let's just befriend those people and try to learn from them. Because I think that these podcasters in name only, PINOs, are a lot closer to the future than you and I. Now, 3 things to go away. Evo's long winter's nap is coming up very quickly. Like next week, I will not be making new episodes. You will not hear my voice, well, sort of, on Podcast Pontifications until the 1st of 2021. However, if you would like to use the platform, you can. As I have said previously, get in touch with me, evo@simpler.media, and I'll give you the very simple instructions to where you can create your own episode of Podcast Pontifications that I will distribute out to everybody who listens to this. Also, buymeacoffee.com/evoterra if you would like to show your support for the show, which I would appreciate. And please tell one other working podcaster you know today about Podcast Pontifications. That's the only way this show grows. I'll be back yet again tomorrow with yet another Podcast Pontifications. Cheers!